Lily Mueller and Jason Carr, who did the set design. Thank you to Ricardo Garcia, who's painting live for you tonight. Thank you to my boss for showing up this evening. Thank you, ArtShare LA. Cheyenne Saunders, who has nurtured this show for 5 years and given it all that she has and putting her staff in charge and helping me get this show together. Thank you one more time. Will you please welcome to the stage Anna Broome and Lee Beck. Tonight we celebrate Emily Dickinson, Boots of Lead.
And Anna knows all their poems by heart.
Well, I didn't have Disney as a child. I had Emily Dickinson and Grimm's Fairy Tales. Says a lot about me.
I had Jesus Family Group.
We're going to perform for you I Felt a Funeral in My Brain by Emily Dickinson.
Is there any way to have a little more light here?
No.
Okay. I felt a funeral in my brain.
And mourners to and fro.
Kept treading,
Till
it seemed.
That sense was breaking through.
And when they all were seated.
A service like a drum.
Kept beating.
Till I thought my mind was going numb.
And then I heard them lift a box.
And creak across my soul.
With those same boots of lead again.
Then space began to toll.
As all the heavens were a bell.
And being but an ear.
And I, and silence some strange race.
Reckoned solitary here.
And then a plank in reason broke.
And I dropped down and down.
And by a world, and hit a world at every plunge.
And finished knowing.
Then.
Thank you. Please welcome to the stage, Aaron Alonzo.
El sabor ha vencido, procura tener a la mano a un amigo que cuide tu frente y tu voz y que cuide de ti, para ti, tus vestidos y a tus pensamientos. Manténlos atentos y a mano tu amigo. La importancia de verte morderte los labios de preocupación es hoy tan necesaria como verte siempre, como andar siguiéndote con la cabeza en la imaginación. Porque sabes y si no lo sabes no importa, yo sé lo que siento, yo sé lo que cortan después unos labios. Esos labios rojos y afilados y estos puños que tiemblan de rabia cuando estás contenta, que tiemblan de muerte si alguien se te acercara a ti. puerta cerrada, porque no vaya a ser yo el viento de la noche y te mida y recorra la piel con mi aliento y hasta te acaricie y te deje dormir y me meta en tu pecho y me vuelva a salir y respires de mí, o me vuelva una estrella y te estreche mis rayos, y todo por no hacerme un poco de caso. Ten miedo de mayo y ten miedo de mí, porque no vaya a ser que cansado de verte me meta en tus brazos para poseerte y te arranque las ropas y te bese los pies y te llame mi diosa y no pueda mirarte de frente y te diga llorando después: por favor, tenme miedo, tenga mucho de miedo, mujer, porque no puede ser.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. 6 cigars inside my silver Corvette, 8 apples bouncing on top of a mountain, dinosaurs inside my teeth. Words. Wow. And words create meaning. Wow. There's all sorts of fun stuff to discover underneath the water. I'm excited to keep on discovering things so that I can find out what else to become. Believe it or not, I used to be a rabbit. I never thought anything outside of nibbling or jumping until one day I jumped into the water. By exploring your limitations, being receptive to change, you transplant into thoughts you would have never believed. I found out I could live under the water. Yeah. My ears came off, my teeth came off, my white fur came off. You never really think about what you are capable of becoming. I say, follow your impulses and be receptive to change. You never know what surprises will be there outside for you.
Yes, thank you everyone. I'll just say a quick few words. Thank you, Anna, for having us. Happy anniversary. We're going to New York Musical Festival. We were selected, and we're the only production representing the West Coast. We're the only Los Angeles production. Thank you. My writing partner, Marcus, is in New York for the orientation right now. He can't be here. He's a wonderful director. He wrote the book. But I'm most excited to introduce you to these wonderful singers. As we started casting this first stage reading, I was like, we're not going to find singing actors in Los Angeles. I was wrong, and you're going to meet them tonight. So first, I'd like you to meet Tyron Perry, our lead.
till you give it away.
This is the final number of the show.
How the journey goes. Life is a river with secrets to show. Don't cling to the reeds, baby. Go with the flow. Trust that your vessel will carry you home. Create your now, create it every day. Banish your worries, the road that's standing in your way. There's nowhere you can go, there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can know that wasn't meant for you. While you were reaching outside, helplessly trying to as you might, the answer's inside. When all else fails, you're flying right down to sight. Suddenly off the rails, that's the time to stop and close your eyes. You gotta picture yourself bigger than you might, and I'll meet you there, leaping for the light. The dark is lifting and I'm not afraid. There is nothing left to fear. Sure I can leave 'cause I'm meeting me halfway. I am meeting you here. Leaning on you now mine.
Freedom is falling, know you'll fly.
There's nothing you can say, there's nothing left to prove. When you follow the still voice inside of you, maybe rolling the dice, read the wide open eyes, it's just right. And you are the prize when all else fails. You run right down to sight. Suddenly off the rails, that's the time to stop and close your eyes. You gotta picture yourself bigger than you might, and I'll meet you there. Leaping for the light. The sun is always up. It's how you fill your cup. Keep your head up. Leaping for the light. Leaping for the light. The secret in loving yourself is forgiveness. It's forgiveness. Fills you with possibility. Like goodbye. And for the light. Take a stand on the edge. Embrace the expanses above and the distance beyond. Feel your spirit with light and love. When all else fails, right down to sight. Suddenly off the rails, that's the time. Stop and close your eyes. Picture yourself bigger than you might, and I'll meet you there. There's nothing you can do, and I'll meet you there. And I'll meet you there, leaping for the light, leaping for the light, leaping for the
I would like to recognize a few of the people who have consistently supported this show. Thank you to Jericho Wagon, brilliant artist, who has done set design, shown up, and promoted the show fearlessly. Thank you to Lily Mueller, who did set design tonight and did posters and promotion for the show for years. Thank you to Yuri Elvin, who painted almost as many times as Deborah Conrad. Thank you to Rick Mendoza, who's filming right now, and Mark Walsh, who did live streaming. Thank you to Nikki Kaplan, who finally made it to her Broome Room and brought me a book, From Homer to Chaucer. And I really thank the next performer, who has always come to this show and brought her best work, written specifically for the show, which takes a lot of talent and guts. We're going to perform an Emily Dickinson poem, and then she's going to read you her own work. Please welcome to the stage, Lita Parrott Harris.
I heard a fly buzz in the room when I died. The stillness in the room was like the illness in the air between the heavens and storm. The eyes around hung and dried, and breaths gathered among firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room.
I willed away my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be. Assignable, and then it was, there interposed a fly. With blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between the light and me, and then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see.
I'm going to recite or read 4 poems to you about these connection that I have with Emily Dickinson poems is that I felt connected to nature when I wrote each poem and in reflection of them and wanting to be close to it. And that's how I came up with this. The first one is called Dry River Tears. Bend still, old river, poured out by the desert sun. You are the barrier between the mountains and this brush, and my heart hears you cry. Replenish my tears. The hawk swirls around your canopy, the wind flapping his wings in the sky. They remind me that I'm not alone, that I may release the darkness and savor each cooling swell. Keep my head up high, above you. Let my glow flow within, speaking of the wonder and whisper of your light and ever-giving promise forever. The next one is called Timber. I can never tell in my slumber the mold of the rotten tree. I do remember its shape protecting me. Harsh wind speaks among the leaves, reaching the empty sky to plummet down upon me. A downfall spiral. Love has me in a whisper, a lasting dream. Landed this escape, this refuge, dawn bursting forward. I stand to recognize the life that instills, the growth that has begun, unsizing all the worry. A life that begins a chance, here alone and lies among the grass, beckoning a tired sleep. The next one is called Delicate as a Feather. I funnel through a journey, through a heart and ear chimes. Songs ring out in turning waves. The soft palette of flutters in life's landscape. Forgotten emotions are left longer, more saddened as it reaches the pinnacle. It is as a wonder that the heart is delicate as a feather, hushed and yet ridiculed just the same. It warms and wants to be close and deep brooding, the lasting flame. The last reveals its life and devotion, urges it to trace, the heart that wants to fly and wants to believe. And for a moment, we'll put up a fight just to belong in a special place in our lives. Joy in finding something who needs it just the same. Close to Emily Dickinson's poem that I could come to as it came from my heart because it was a personal experience. This is called Numb. Cheated. Yes, I knew of this cowardice by instinct, the lying state that finding its place upon my skin, as if the devil took notice and saved me a stare. How loose is the real, how quickly I can peel back into swell, the columns that lift up and shift above, crashing down, numbing me to silence forever.
One of my favorite singer poets ever. Please welcome to the stage the talented, the beautiful Yvonne de la Vega.
So let the flowers circle Sunday, altars burn, I may hear mine on the holiday eyes. At the church of Mother Mary, I smell roses. Went to cooking St. Peter, am I worthy? I bet I am. Love and learn, in the face of love, you must be stern. Some Somersets don't confuse love with summer sex. That heat, it'll burn your heart. So make sure you never part. I'm just laughing because my son wrote this when he was 14. That heat, it will burn your heart. So make sure that you never part. And if you do, make sure the weather's fine. But don't leave during summertime. No, don't you leave during summertime. Oh, lay your head down on the concrete cement. Under the big blue sky, watch the clouds drift by. Drift on by, baby, yeah, drift on by. Some say that love is grand, some say it's overrated. I've been in love before and I fucking hate it. Soon will come a day when we stand before the judgment. Say, Peter, tell me something. Did I not love my husband? When we were young, we were raised on love songs, and everyone's on something under the same sun. So here's a poem by Emily Dickinson that rhymes. Dear love, ample make this bed. Make it with awe. In it, wait till judgment you say, he is excellent and I is fair. Love and learn. In the face of love, you must be stern. Somersets don't confuse love with Somersets. That heat, it'll burn your heart. So make sure you never part. Make sure you never part. And if you do, make sure the weather's fine. Don't leave during summertime. Both of them because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was going to do a poem and a song on the ukulele, but I'm going to do the same poem twice because it actually works. Can we pull it? Yeah. Did I miss the jazz pianist?
No.
Oh, good. Summertime and the living's easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama good looking. So hush, baby, don't own you. uncle, make this bed. Make this bed with art. In it let judgment be set, excellent and fair. Be it mattress straight, be it pillow round. Let no sunrise, yellow noise interrupt this round. One of these mornings, you don't rise up soon. You're gonna spread your wings and take to the sky. But until that morning, ain't nothing gonna harm you. We're married and happy, standing by. Sorry, you know, I was rushing over here in traffic. I almost got in an accident, and I was like, God, that would be a great excuse for being late. But I made it. All right, one last piece. For the record, I love this woman. Anna Broome has done so much for poetry, and it is Poetry Month, nearing closing its end, and I'm glad you're joining us. And this is a packed house. I've seen a lot of talented women. I met Pony in the pool hall. Over by the player's house phone, I had for our incoming calls. It was a 3-minute limit, him fresh from the year in jail cell, me broken hearted and in love, so we played nine ball trying to forget. And I loved Pony Ball. I loved him just like a little brother. He was a gambler, raced to 3 for 10. First he played real bad, and then he started playing like a motherfucker. Oh, we were fallen angels in purgatory. That place of old saints, this, that, right. Where everybody knew everybody's story and everybody's game. But one day, Pony Boy, he gets 86. For 100 phone calls from 100 chicks. You see, a house thought he was a dope dealer. I knew that he had 9 months of sobriety. So now Pony Boy, he goes back out on the streets. And I would say, run for him, and I would pray. And he was last seen boxing it out with the prisoners of Calcutta down by Wilcox Island. Fallen angel, searching for the innocence gone too long. Take the blame. Sacred spirals of heaven's wind, you cannot light upon, no, not with the demon in your vein. And so you go down, 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 and then you're 3 days gone. You're gone falling down and broke your crown and golden sobriety. His mom watches the telephone. His dad acts like he's watching the TV. And they don't know they're not to blame, but their hearts search family history. And they watch you go down. Oh yeah, and then you're 10 days now. You're gone falling down and broke your crown, golden sobriety. And they can't call every hospital, and they don't know all your friends. And they can't call every station in the county. So instead they watch you go down. Oh, and then you're so far gone. You're gone falling down, broke your crown, golden sobriety. Frail-legged pony, step by step. He's wandered too close to the edge of the darkened valley. His mom watches the telephone. Dad acts like he's watching the TV. And they don't know they're not to blame, but their hearts search family history. Well, it's 5 years later, it's Friday night. The old pool hall shut down, saints and angels forced to take flights. We start playing on Sunsets, all right. It's all about the game, all about the night. And then someone says, hey, did you hear about Tony? And time stood still. I said, no, don't tell me. I packed my cue, I went running. We were fallen angels in purgatory, that place of old saints, this their glory, where everybody knew everybody's story and everybody's game. And my fallen angel searching for the innocence gone too long to take the blame.
This is from our chair, we just want to congratulate you on 5 years. So we got cake for all you guys, and there's cake, and there's a chocolate cake in the back. So
Is there champagne?
no.
After, Dad, after.
That's the after hours portion. So congratulations.
Our chair LA, everyone. I'm very excited to welcome the next performer. Now, Emily Dickinson's most famous poem, and typically everyone's favorite and the one that they recognize, is also one of the most beautiful poems ever written. And please realize that she's writing in her teens and early 20s. She rejected the Puritans, was thrown out of school for it, and she's writing and inventing the dash. She is capitalizing her nouns, and she's writing poetry like no one has ever seen during the Transcendentalist period, offshoot of the Romantic period in America. To celebrate that, please welcome one of my dearest friends and a great performer. Please welcome Colette Miller. Ms. White. It's live theater, people. Thank you, Yuri.
Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun, or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. We passed before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity.
How many people here love Princess Frank? Yeah. You can do better than that. I said Princess Frank. Broome Rooms than any musician, always showing up and rocking you hard every time I ask. He has a new band in the high 70s, and we can see that in many ways. So are you going to set up?
Yes.
So everybody take a 5-minute break and come back for the high 70s. One of the first ones I ever read as a very young child. Some keep the Sabbath by going to church. I keep it staying at home, with a bobby link for a chorister and an orchard for a dome. Some keep the Sabbath in surplus. I just wear my wings, and instead of tolling the bell for church, our little sexton sings. God preaches, a noted clergyman, and the sermon is never long. So instead of going to heaven at last, I'm going all along. I had a request from Dale Youngman to do one of my own pieces, and since my phone is dead, and the only poems I know by memory are Emily Dickinson's, I have a poem I wrote, a sonnet I wrote in college, and when I turned it in, my mentor said, never write in form again. Here it is. I slipped into love with a dead poet doctor during a bedridden spring. His words numbed my lips, tickled my tongue, and trickled down my throat like the juice of a cold, sweet plum. His lines embraced like long-lost lovers once separated by sour traditions and gray concrete tombs. Goodbye to dancing daffodils and a romantic who sang to himself until dawn. My heart belongs to a red wheelbarrow where so much depends, winter, spring transcends.
Well, this is kind of a poetry event, and usually when you play rock and roll, no one can hear the words anyway, so I thought I'd start out reading my words as if they're lyrics, because Max says, your lyrics give me a boner. Frank says, are there lyrics to these songs? That's true. So this first song is called We Have Nothing, and it starts out, we have our moments, our memories, but we can't hold us except in our dreams. We have nothing. Like no possession, people and things. Decided to leave me or not. When we're together, here's what we got. We have nothing. One thing for certain, this isn't a thing. It's close to the sun, we're evaporating. We have nothing. Thanks for nothing.
Thank you, dudes.
Okay. We'll start off with some more poetry that gives Max a boner. So all of you feel free to just have a boner out there.
I'm hard right now. I can tell.
This one is called Glitter Box, and it starts, glitter kitty, glamour puss, you're younger than you look. You're older than you feel. You still look good in heels.
It's about the Pakistan-Israel conflict. That was the basis of those lyrics.
Kitty glamour puss, she's younger than she looks. She's older than she feels, but she looks good in heels. Glitter kitty glamour shot, she likes to be on top. She's up for getting down. Buy her another round. fancy feast. She'd like something to eat. She has delicious curd and an empty purse. Glamour shop was on some fancy sock. What happened to your shoes? They came out with the booze. No more elbows to rub in this empty club. Just not some place to go when everything is closed. Glamourpuss, she's older than she looks. She's younger than she feels. She still looks good in here. We got one more. Let's see. Should I give you more poetry? Congratulations to Anna. 5 years of awesome with you guys.
5 fucking years!
Art lives because of people like Anna Broome. I love you too. This is another song about the denizens of late night Hollywood, Bar Sinister in particular. Roll her eyes all the way back in her head. But you didn't see that coming. Oh yes, you did. Spanking, Derek will gladly oblige. Heidi would do the honors, but now Earl has retired. Nancy is fascinated. She could use a time on the rack. We'll do the out of night. Oh, the heat and the feel of the sack. just wanna push you to the point of pain, and I'm gonna pull you backwards, yeah. We finally reached the spring house. Dawn's early light to the cover of darkness, like a vampire in the night. You finally leave the spring house. Dawn's early light, like the cover of darkness, like a vampire at the end of the night. I just wanna push you to the point of pain, and I'm gonna pull you back up, yeah. Yeah, 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 house, the dawn's early light, we came the cover of darkness, like a vampire at the end of the night. I just wanna push to the point of pain, and I'm gonna pull you back up again. I just wanna push you to the point of pain, and I'm gonna pull you back up again. Thank you very much, art people. Thank you, Anna. We're in the high 70s.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna.
I hope you enjoyed getting high and possibly being from the 70s.
The high 70s, everyone. Come on, make it loud like they were. I have an announcement. I'm missing.
Night and day, you are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Where the winds you fall, it's no matter, darling, where you are. I think of you night and day, day and night. Oh, such wondering burning inside of me. I just let your move me through till that mist in my life make love to you. Not a day, not a day, day and night, night and day. Day and night. So many times before. By the time we got a penny, he'll be working. He'll probably stop at lunch and give me the call, but he'll just hear that phone keep on ringing. Oh, that's all. Time and time I try to tell him so. Time and time I try to tell him so. He didn't know. I would really go. By the time I get the feeling.
This is going to be pretty quick, but I wrote this inspired by a friend actually that I really believe I have conversations with in my dreams. And so when I wake up, these are the words that come. I explained to him the story of pearls He stood close against my right side, hands in pocket, calm, his eyes staring intently at the side of my smile and moving lips. I played with the beautiful pearls nestled among the mush of the oyster. The shell lay in my hand, and I marveled at the mother in all her colors, designed by greens, purples, and blues. His left hand moved to a new home on the small of my back. I met his eyes quickly, then looked away. His cheek lowered to mine, causing my face to rise and my eyes to close. I'm just going to do an a cappella number for you. Emily is one of my favorite songs. My favorite rendition is by Singers Unlimited. They are an a cappella group like from the 60s and 70s. So I'm going to do that for you tonight. Thank you. Emily, Emily, Emily. As the murmuring sound of May. Oh, silver bells, carousels, carousels, and the laughter of children at play. Say, Emily, 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 as we fade to a marvelous view. Two lovers alone and out of sight, seeing images in the firelight. As my eyes visualize a family, they see Emily, Emily too. As my eyes visualize a family, they see Emily, Dreamily, Emily too. Thank you.
I have to say that it's been the biggest privilege of my life these 5 years to be able to witness such great talent. Please put it together for everyone who is here performing. Now, the person who has done the most room rooms of everyone, I think he's missed 2 or 3 times since the beginning of the show. He is the poet laureate of downtown. He's one of my dearest friends. He's a great writer. Please welcome Richard McDowell.
Emily likes to think she's a poet. One look at her and you would know. She wraps her words in metaphors to drive you crazy.
And Emily talks to me sometimes, though she's not a friend of mine. She smiles when she cries, sighs when she says, I don't want to love you, and I don't want to say goodbye, and I don't want to be the one who's thinking of you both day and night. When I said what we're doing's wrong, she said, yeah, you got that right. Huh? You got it all wrong. She said to me she was Emily Dickinson reborn. And then she said something about not being trapped in the painting like that other woman. Only she was talking about herself. She said she felt free from the canvas, free to live. She said to me she was Emily Dickinson reborn. Not constrained within the frame while the painter paints a picture, the paint dries and the lapse of time can subside the tide of the crying eye, but sometimes you just want to die. She said she was Emily Dickinson reborn, now living in a loft in downtown Los Angeles, silk and satin like soft sheets of rain melt against the window pane, felt tipped pen ingrained in my head, bits of blue, bits of red. Oh, you'll never get out that stain, she said. She was Emily Dickinson, reborn. And some things can hold you too long, like a nail in the wall.
Hi, how are you? How you doing?
Jim Marcus!
Yeah, Jim Marcus, yay! First of all, whoever brought the cake, thank you. It's fucking incredible. Thank you very much. Artshare, thank you. Just give it up for Artshare one more time for hosting the Anna Broome Room. Thank you, Artshare! And of course, you can either thank her or blame her for bringing all of us here tonight. Anna Broome, I love you. Thank you. Now, for some reason, Anna personally requested this story. God knows why.
It has no sex in it.
All right, yeah, I kind of changed that. Just because I knew that's why you picked it. Anyway, this is from my book. The book is called A Movable Beast. This story is called Chili Dogs and Homeboys. Oh, God, I hate to bring this room down, but fuck it, why not? Somebody has to. Fucking A, right? Somebody has to bring the NC-17. Somebody has to bring the fucking and the sucking in this fucking room. Chili Dogs and Homeboys, to go, please, Echo Park. Hi, Rick. I was drunk one Saturday night. I needed some sloppy beef to sober up with chili. What better place than Original Tommy's over on Beverly Boulevard, off Rampart, just outside of downtown Los Angeles. But I should have known better. You just can't go there late on a weekend night without the bullshit drama starting, because every degenerate waste of sperm wannabe gangster goes there after a drive-by or a sexual assault of some kind. The only good thing that can be said about these assholes is that for some reason I intend on asking God about the minute I stumble into heaven is that they get to be with the hottest women on the planet. So thankfully the eye candy is pretty good after a lonely binge. I am but an old drunk and I am extremely fucking jealous of that. That being said, there I be, slouched against my car, chowing down on my usual heart-bursting crap of a double chili cheeseburger, chili cheese fries, and a chili cheese dog with extra fucking onions. It's nasty shit, but it gets the trick done. It soaks up the alcohol. It allows you to get back behind the wheel and have an even chance of getting home without getting pulled over. Slamming into a family of 6 on their way back from an outing never crosses my mind. There are far worse things on a road to avoid other than me, namely the cops, the police, the fucking pigs. Between midnight and 3 a.m., they are the true fear in this city of angels, and God help you if you are brown or black, period. Now, parked next to me, to my right, in this lot, is a beat to all hell, rusted out, puke green Chevy Nova. 1986-87, a hatchback. Good God. How this fucker is still running, I have no clue. But it sits there, offending the casual passerby, or the horny drunk trying to sober up. At the wheel of this thing is a Latina, fairly hot, staring into her smarty phone, fidgety, waiting for whomever is supposed to be bringing her the food. And judging by the look in her red eyes, it appears she's trying to will this person into being via the fading glow of the screen attached to her face. On the other side of her is another car, a huge fucker. Talk about old school LA gangster, Mickey Cohen style. It's bulky, a steel behemoth. White wall tires the size of a bus, a rounded trunk, space for maybe 3 to 4 bodies. A white steering wheel as big as an extra large Little Caesars. The gear shift up on the column. An ancient bastard, maybe late 1940s. It had such a shiny black lacquered finish that it may as well have been melting glass you were staring into. It was a Plymouth something or another, I don't know. But I do know when I was a kid, my mother used to have a car just like that. Though not carried out like this one, no, fuck no. Permanent dust clung to every surface of its stripped interior. 2 bullet holes adorned the trunk. Mom never had an explanation for that bit of eye candy. And the transmission begged for an early death every time Mom shifted going uphill. It felt like the bottom carriage was going to drop out from underneath us. And we'd have to climb those hills Fred Flintstone style. It was scary shit. Homeboys or cholos and mechanics and other interested parties offered Mom tons of cash for this thing wherever we go. They stop and point and ask her what she wanted for it, like moths to the flame. She'd always decline, though. She needed the car to take me and my older brother to the doctor or to school or shopping at Kmart and Sears, stores that are not here anymore, or to visit our grandmother in Boyle Heights off Whittier Boulevard and Esperanza across from the cemetery. But money became tight, and eventually she sold the car for $500. 1,000 years ago, that was an incredible amount of money, and she gratefully accepted. Years later, she told me selling that Plymouth was one of the biggest mistakes in her life. Now, there's a man behind the wheel of this Plymouth here. He's Latino, shaved head, about 30 years old. Next to him is not a drop-dead, gorgeous Latina baby mama, but possibly the baby herself. An underage teenage girl was his girlfriend, apparently, for the night. That fucker. They sit and eat. The windows are tinted, lowered about halfway down. We're in the main parking lot here. Across the street, separated by Rampart, is a smaller secondary lot. There's an LAPD cruiser in the far corner shining a floodlight on a group of young men at their cars parked next to each other. Mexicans? Certainly Latinos. They are gathered to talk before coming over this way to order up. Their convivial banter in Spanish is interrupted by the prying pigs. The boys all have short cropped hair, open shirts over white beaters, baggy jeans, about 5 or 6 guys, all in their late 20s. I try to ignore that because my food finally is beginning to achieve their desired effect. And that's when I see the passenger approach the lone girl and the crappy Nova next to me. He's a huge bastard, shaved head, neck and chest buried in garish jewelry. He's sporting that constant, bitter, menacing 1,000-yard prison glare that these jackasses seem to have in reserve whenever out in public. And he doesn't walk per se, but swaggers or lopes, some kind of bad clown pantomime that's supposed to show that he's a bad motherfucker from outer space and that nobody better fuck with him at all. But to those of us who have seen far too much, he rates just a yawn and a shake of my head as I turn away, though careful not to catch his eye. He throws his bag of food into the Nova girl's lap. Oh, what a gentleman, but hey, she puts up with it, huh? And he swings open his passenger door a little too wide, and there. I think I heard a slight thump as the door tapped the nice Plymouth next to him. Nearly indiscernible. It took a full second before the driver of the Plymouth said, and as the giant was already halfway into his car, "Hey, Holmes, watch the ride, eh?" The giant stepped back out of his car, leaned down towards the driver and said, "What'd you say, motherfucker?" "You heard me, Holmes. Watch the ride, eh? They hit my car, Holmes." "What'd you say, motherfucker?" The gorilla straightened up, cracked his neck, simply believed, as most socio-psychopaths often do, that he hasn't done anything remotely wrong, and he whispered back, "You better watch your fucking mouth, eh, or I'll fuck you all up, eh?" The driver smirked, shook his head incredulously, and said, "All I'm saying, Holmes, is to watch my car, eh? You fucking hit my car, right, Holmes? You fucking know what you did, Holmes." "Don't you Holmes me, motherfucker?" the giant screamed. "I fuck you all up, motherfucker. And don't you fuck, you know what? You bitch too. Right, you bitch too. Right here, right now, in front of the fucking cops. I don't give a fuck." Veins pulsed at the side of his forehead. His nose flared. He swayed left to right. "Fuck, eh?" the driver said. "Take it easy, eh? Why ain't gonna be a hard and shit, Holmes? Talk that shit. Fuck you, eh? I'm not the one with the problem, Holmes. No, fuck you, eh? I'll take you anytime, bitch. Just not right here." "Oh, yeah?" The gorilla's voice cracked and boomed. He was no longer human. He began hopping in place like he wanted to take a piss or he badly needed another bump of coke, and he hollered, "Well, then come on then, motherfucker. I live around the corner, dog. Show me you're a man. Come on, prove it. I'll always be better than you. Show me you're a motherfucking man. Fuck you all up, motherfucker." The dude's face was blistering red and sweaty, spit flying, eyes wild, head twitching, contorting, about to explode. What the fuck is wrong with these guys? Why do these guys want to burn down the fucking world and everybody with them? What is their fucking problem? Abandonment issues? Did their father beat the fuck out of them when they were little boys? Who cares? Fuck them. Did mommy suck the manager's dick to pay rent too many times in front of him when he was a little boy? Fuck it. Who cares? The hell with him. Maybe it was the uncle. It's usually Uncle Chewy or Uncle Beto or Uncle Geevy. It's the uncle the family doesn't really talk about. Almost 50 and not married. He lives in the second house in the back lot that the grandmother owns. Doesn't have a job. The family knows what he's up to. And sometimes, maybe, I don't know, he would take this kid, this boy, this child, to Dodger Stadium on Sunday afternoons. They're special Sundays together, you know? And they park in their uncle's pickup, facing away from the stadium before the people arrived. Maybe Uncle Chewy jerked a little too hard, and maybe the boy liked it, but he was scared. And when he came, he was confused and ashamed and angry, but it felt good at the same time. Maybe, I don't know. For whatever reason, fuck those people. They have no fucking right to take it out on the rest of us. They can kiss my brown ass. Of course, I didn't say any of this out loud. But I thought about it in big capital letters across my forehead. Anyway, the maniac finishes with, You follow me home and we settle this shit like men, eh? And then after, I still fucking kill you. Let's go, motherfucker. Let's go right now. The driver said, nah, man, you see, you get all stupid and shit, eh? That's on you, bitch. And then the driver actually opens his car door. He begins to step out of his car. And the maniac goes off again. Come on, the motherfucker, right now. If you're a motherfucking man, prove it to me. If you're a motherfucking man, prove it to me. The underage teenage girl at the driver's side grabbed his arm and she screamed, no, you stupid or what, eh? Come on, let's go home, pendejo. The maniac cried, I'm waiting, motherfucker. Unless you let your bitch know you're talking for you, fucking kill you, man. Clearly, the driver was at a disadvantage because of positioning. The gorilla was standing and the driver, a much smaller man, would be coming out of a seated posture. The monkey fuck, no doubt having never heard of the concept of honor, would have unloaded on the driver before he even got out of his car. You know what, eh? The driver sighed and he relented. Fuck you, Holmes. The driver sat back down and closed his door. Whatever's, eh? The mutt grunted and turned away. Both engines rumbled to life. Well, the Nova coughed and spit. The Plymouth purred like a kitty cat. But just as the animal stepped into his car, he picked up an empty plastic bag and tossed it into the driver's lap. Motherfucker! The driver screamed and put the car in park and flung open the door. And just as the asshole jumped into his own car, giggling like a schoolgirl, the underage girl screamed, no, stop it! This is stupid! Take me home already, pendejo! Let's go! And the driver quickly conceded once more. Now, while all this high urban drama is taking place, cars are coming and going. It's always a tight squeeze in that crappy lot, and tonight was no exception. Cars honked and headlights washed out the bloated and sweaty faces of those of us gathered at, on, or under their vehicles trying to sober up. The patrol car across the street pulled up to the Latinos in that second lot. The pigs approached the group, hands unhooking their holsters, hands on the butts of their guns, gripping their guns, withdrawing their weapons. And before these two cars here could leave, they had to wait for an earth-killing SUV to clear its space as it too was attempting to back out. Physics being what it is, the battling homeboys had to wait their turn as the SUV made its move, and its pair of cornea burning high beams splashed over the Plymouth, bringing to light all of its contents for the first time. The driver, the jailbait girlfriend, and remember, all tinted windows only partially lowered. So only now did I get to see one more person rising and sitting up on the back seat. It was another young man. No, check that. A boy. Also a shaved head. 10 years old, 9 maybe. He was pointing a .44 Magnum at his side window, square in the spot where the gorilla had been standing. If the boy had chosen to, he could have taken the ape's head clean off with one shot. As the SUV passed, the boy slowly lowered his cannon. This idiot had no idea what could have happened to him if he had indeed unleashed that first punch. I could hardly believe it. These animals were willing to shoot and spill blood and kill at a burger joint at 3 a.m. while an LAPD cruiser sat 40 feet to my left over the barely audible tap of a car door, brushing another while leaving no obvious markings. God fucking damn it. I am not that naive. I know people have died in this city of angels for far fucking less, but I was in the direct line of fire here. Knowing the history of these assholes, it's doubtful that any of them take practice at the NRA Klan meetings up in the Glendora Hills. Glendora, also known as the land of fathers who molest their daughters. And then these daughters end up marrying 20 years later men who look like their fathers. The asshole and his woman tore out, raising dust and old chili dog wrappers. The Plymouth and its mini cannon cautiously pulled away, signal left, then exited the opposite side of the parking lot, nice and quiet. Nothing happened. I finished my food feeling very sober. But the pigs, man, those fucking pigs. They continued to flash their lights at the young Mexicans, waving their guns in the air, pointing, hollering, giving orders, making them empty their pockets on the ground, cursing at them, scolding them, saying shit like, "What are you doing here? You don't fucking belong here. That's why we built that fucking wall, keep you fucking terrorists out." Don't look at me. Keep your fucking heads down, you fucking faggot wetback, you cocksucker motherfuckers! Look at me. You, there. You want to suck my long flashlight tonight? Who's going to be the first motherfucker to suck my long flashlight tonight? Who's it going to be, huh? I'll give you a running start. Whoever sucks my stick first, you motherfuckers, you. You're used to running, right, Paco? Talk fucking English. Talk fucking English. This is fucking America! And as the police brought down their extra long flashlights upon the heads and bodies of these Mexican immigrants, the police chanted in unison, "In Trump we trust, in Donald we trust, in Trump we trust, in Donald we trust, in Donald we trust, in Donald we trust, in Donald we trust." And all the while, across the way, more drunks and crackheads swam in and out of the parking lot. This is the city of angels. Thank you.
I lied to you. There's one more person. The reason the Broome Room started is the show I used to be in as a poet. And this person mentored me to start my own show. We joked together about the title of the show and said, "Oh yeah, Broome Room." Please welcome Lee Beck.
I just thought I'd, since we're talking about Emily Dickinson, I thought I'd close out with Emily Dickinson. She was totally unregenerate, you know. She lived in an era surrounded by all of her relatives and all the people in her town turning to Methodism, to Calvinism, looking for religious experiences, being part of the elect. You were either the elect, which means God chose you and you know it because you had a very exciting religious experience, or you were a hopeful Christian, hoping that you would have that kind of an experience someday and praying fervently and living righteously, or you were unregenerate. She was unregenerate. She just couldn't get into it. There were two things she just couldn't abide. One was that, religion. Even her dearest friend, Susan Gilbert, became a Christian. After she married Emily's brother, her little brother, Susan and Emily loved each other all their lives. They were only 9 days apart. She was even 3 years older than Emily's brother, who she married. But when she married, Emily couldn't stand it. She wrote passionate letters to this young woman, and how close they really were, nobody really knows. But it was 1840 to 1860. Things were tight. Things were severe. A woman's plight was terrible. I mean, a woman worked her ass off and then she died. And often a man had 2 or 3 wives. The woman died in childbirth. The woman died of terrible diseases and illnesses and worked like a dog, like a slave. A woman was a piece of property practically to many, 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 many men, even in America. But Emily didn't go for any of it. She didn't go for marriage, and she didn't go for religion. And she was a little pissed at all the girls she went to college with as they one by one went off in marriage. And she wrote them so almost, very passionate letters, but very critical of their having done that. And she kind of held it against them. And it kind of sharpened her. And she turned instead to literature, the great writers of the era. You know, the wonderful writings of Emerson and Thoreau and Carlyle and all the great writers of that era that she loved, and she read them because she spent a lot of time in seclusion, or at least alone, by herself, even though she was caring for her dying mother and her sister's orphaned children. So she had a pretty hard time. She wrote about escape. Escape is such a thankful word. I often in the night consider it unto myself, no spectacle in sight. Escape, it is the basket in which the heart is caught. When down some awful battlement the rest of life is dropped. 'Tis not to sight the Savior, it is to be the saved. And that's why I lay my head upon this trusty word. Which was? Escape. For Emily's salvation depends upon escape to freedom. For her freedom is not marriage. In fact, every day she went to school meant she didn't have to do the drudgery of housework which she hated. She says of the woman who marries, she rose to his requirement, dropped the playthings of her life to take the honorable work of women and of woman and of wife. If aught she missed in her new day of amplitude or awe, or first perspective, or the gold in using wear away, it lay unmentioned as the sea developed pearl and weed, but only to himself be known the fathoms they abide. She incorporates making her own decisions into her own life, her own freedoms of choice. I have heeded beautiful tempters, she wrote. She reads all the writers. She's forced by circumstances to take care of her family. Friendship means everything to her. She writes over 1,000 poems and many passionate letters. And only 7 of her poems were published in her lifetime. Within 4 years after her death in May 15, 1886, she was world famous. My business, she writes, is search.